What's up guys, this is Dark Magician here and welcome to another KOF video. So guys, as you all know, in the latest patch we have received a new API 15 which is Tung. And this is actually good news for specifically the people who have skipped Mr. Karate and that they need a tortoise soul in their team. Specifically if they were running 4 souls in their team and skipped him. So this is actually good news for them. So yeah, without further ado, today's video will be a character introduction for Tung. Okay guys, so as you know, Tung is an API 15 DPS fighter. If you check the details, as usual, you can see the good crit and the very high crit power rate, where the other stats are quite normal. Just like a typical DPS, of course. So, and the feature says Attack Master. Well, pretty much because this is the first boss, or to be specific, the first DPS boss that can target everybody in the opponents. He can target all 6 opponents in arena. So he has potential to do massive damage if trained correctly. So that's why I think they gave him the feature Attack Master. Okay, now first starting with the fates, we have the Chinese Kung Fu. We need Shunei, we need Tung, and we need Shion, giving attack plus 25%. We have Kung Fu Master, we need Tung, Chin, and Saisyu, again giving attack plus 25%. And Mate's Friendship, we need Tung, Geese, and Terry, giving attack again plus 25%. So as usual, the first fate will be kinda hard to unlock, but the other two are very easy. Okay, so and he uses, his weapon Master Belt Soul, and he uses Gale Batch and Thai Boxing Tong. Okay, now going through his fight soul, you can see it's called a Saint Tortoise Soul. Now what is a Saint Tortoise Soul? As you can see, each attack or received restores 20 rage and also restores rage when others die. So it's actually 3 souls in one. Okay, so the first part is a snake soul, the second part is a tortoise soul, and the third part is a tiger soul. So yeah, 3 souls in one, which is pretty good. Okay, now starting with his skills, let's start with the passive first. It's called Climax Super. So Climax Super will affect only once for each battle if HP is less than 50% when round starts. So when Tung reaches less than 50% HP, he will activate the Climax Super. Now what does the Climax Super do? So he clears his own abnormal status and restore own 500 rage and restores 70% of max HP. So he regains all the rage, he regains HP and clears own debuff, and permanently immune to abnormal status. So he becomes immune to all types of control after he activates this passive. Okay, in addition to that, he chooses 2 fighters except Own himself as pupils when the battle starts. So this is the other part of the passive regardless of the Climax Super. Okay, so he chooses 2 fighters as his pupils. Okay, one will get extra 20% damage and the other, of course selected from the front row first, will get 20% resistance. So he selects 2 allies from the team, he gives one of them 20% damage and he gives the other one 20% resistance, such that its priority goes to anyone in the front row to give him resistance. Okay, the selected fighter will get both effects if only one fighter except Tung is there in the battle. So if there's an arena, let's say, or any other place, Tung and another ally only, he will just choose that ally and give him 20% damage and resistance. Okay, because there's no other ally to give him another buff. Okay, now Tung will get 50 rage and 300 rage at most for each round when pupils are attacked. So that's another way actually to gain rage. If somebody attacked his pupils, he will also gain 50 rage each time, such that, you know, he can use this effect 6 times per round to gain up to 300 rage. So that's an additional way to gain rage for him. Okay, in addition to that, Tung damage will convert 20% to HP to heal the ally who has the least HP. I always like that part of the passive. So he converts 20% of his damage to HP and heals the one with the lowest HP. So it's pretty safe. He acts as a good support as well. Okay, and each damage received cannot exceed 30% of max HP. So this is a nice part as well, such that he can't be one-shotted in any way. He can't, let's say, get a hit that consumes more than 30% of his max HP. Okay, so that's pretty safe as well. Okay, we're gonna get that We'll get to that at the end of the video where I say about his placement in the team. Okay, in addition to that, finally he has the interfere skill, where he reduces all enemies attack, which isn't stackable with the other interference skills like the ones we've seen with Ash, with Elizabeth, and with Magaki. Okay, so it reduces attack for everybody in the enemies, which is a must-have skill, to be honest. Okay, or a must-have passive. Okay, so at as usual at level 1 it starts with 10% reduction of attack for all enemies. Okay guys, in the second passive, of course, Baji attack and HP enhancement, permanently increase own attack and HP. It starts at level 1 with 5% HP as usual. And going to his minor skill, Shuha, strikes a column, 40% chance to stun the main target and restore each pupil 100 rage. So he restores rage for his pupils, okay, and 200 rage if there's only one pupil, and restores own rage if there is no pupil. So here it's case dependent, depending on how many allies are there in the team. Okay, and he converts 30% damage to heal his own HP. So again, he heals himself according to the damage he takes, or he makes, sorry. Okay, 30% of his damage will heal his own HP, and 100% chance to trigger skill if climax super effect. So after he switches to the climax super passive, he will have 100% chance to cast his skill. Okay, and finally his ultimate, Daigeki Hu, strikes all enemies, causes the more damage. Of course, if there are less enemies, he will cause more damage, 100% at most, and increases his own 25% damage and resistance for 2 rounds. Pupils will have 100% chance to cast skills for this round, so whenever he ultimates, the pupils will cast a minor skill for sure. Okay, and each damage received will not exceed 35% of max HP in 2 rounds after casting an ultimate. So he also kind of protects his pupils so that they don't receive more than 35% max HP as a damage. Okay, so actually it's also a safe thing. And also, in addition to that, he causes extra 5% of max HP against each target after the climax super effect. Again, after he switched to the climax super effect, he will cause additional 5% HP to every enemy he targets in his attack. Okay, of course, awaken to increase the effect, and such that the extra damage will not restore rage after awakening the weapon. Okay guys, so those were Tung Furu's skills. Now sadly, because we still don't have information about his gate, so we're gonna skip that part from now on. But you know, we need to mention his gate partners, which are Robert, Mai, and Geese. So not hard gate partners, but of course, because Geese is an API 14, so maybe not everybody already have him. But in case you didn't, the good news is that now we can farm, or we have a lot of ways to gain API 14 frags. So this might be a good way if you don't have Geese yet and you are planning to use Tung Furu. Okay guys, now the question is he a good fighter or not? Of course, from what you've seen, he has a very diverse skill set. Okay, from damage, from support, yeah, pretty much damage and support at most. And well, because he's a tortoise soul, then we can say some tanking, but I don't know if we can call it a tanking or not. But yeah, overall he's a really good fighter. He can add a lot to the team, okay, especially as a support. Now, where to place him, front or back? Now, to be honest, because as you've seen, he's a tortoise soul, and usually you would prefer to put a tortoise soul at the front, okay, because he will gain, whenever he gets attacked, he will gain rage faster and he will cast more ultimates. So it's definitely a good thing to put him at the front, and priority goes, let's say, to the front. Except if you do have let's say a lot of tanky characters to put at the front, then you can just shift him in the back. It's fine, he can still gain rage in many ways. But yeah, try to put him at the front if you don't have enough tanks. Okay, and yeah, the final part now, and the most debatable part, let's say, as usual, is the runes. So which runes should you use for Tung Furu? Now here I'm gonna split them into 2 cases, if you want him for damage or if you want him for resistance. Okay, now typically if you want him to do damage, then I would prefer if you can go for God's Wrath, because as you know, God's Wrath is an even round rune, and most likely he will ultimate on round 2 onwards. So, and because you know he's a DPS, he will need that extra crit and crit power. So yeah, God's Wrath would be a good choice, especially that he targets everybody, all enemies. So you would make use of that extra attack for sure. Okay, another good option would be Heart of Thorns, because This way, especially if he was at the front, of course, whenever he gets hit, he will gain HP back. So it depends on what you want him to do more. If you want him to tank more, or if you think he's not tanky enough, then you can use Heart of Thorns, or you can just boost his damage with God's Wrath. Those two are the major, or let's say the best rune sets for him, in my opinion. Again, let's say second rank would go for Boiling Blood or Chaos. I don't really recommend to use those two, but in case, let's say, you don't have enough of God's Wrath, or good runes of God's Wrath or Heart of Thorns, you may choose Boiling Blood or Chaos. Boiling Blood, because he targets everybody, then he will have fast ways of regaining HP, so it would be possible. And Chaos, again, because he targets everybody, although if you think about it now, Control or CC isn't much of a threat from now on. I mean, because pretty much a lot of fighters can cleanse their own debuff, or they are immune to debuff or stuff. So Chaos kind of like started to lose its importance on the fighters. So yeah, let's say rank 1 goes for God's Wrath and Heart of Thorns. If you don't have enough, or if you would like him to gain more HP, you can go for Boiling Blood. Okay guys, again, that's my opinion. Feel free to say your opinion if you do think that he or other rune sets can be good on him. Okay guys, so that was kind of a fast video, again, because we don't have information about his gates. So I hope you learned something about him. Good luck if you're going for him, and let me know in the comments what you think about him. Is he a good fighter or not? Okay guys, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace out.